What would you say is the biggest mistake that you see a lot of like first-time entrepreneurs or first-time business people, doing, as they're building their brands?
Number one, trying to be a boss too fast.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're a boss, that means somebody's on payroll.
Oh.
You can't
Talk heavy.
You can't be a boss
Yeah.
if you're not cutting checks and
Yeah.
managing a team of people.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think people are so concerned with making all the money
Yeah.
that they forget to get clarity and focus and direction on what they should be doing.
Yeah.
One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is attempting to operate in a lane that's not theirs. Attempting, like, jumping from idea to idea, trying to multitask, trying to do something that is not in your area of expertise.
Yeah.
Right? So I see this all the time. I'll meet people somewhere, and at this particular time, they're doing like content creation. And then, they see somebody coming on your podcast and talk about the trucking industry, and now they're teaching trucking. They went and got them one truck, made $1,000, and now they got a trucking course.
Right.
And I think just being all over the place and not asking for help, because the help is available.
Yeah.
At one point, it wasn't easy to find the help, but now there's no excuse. So if you're a brand new entrepreneur or you're trying to crack into that model and you're not experiencing the success, I guarantee you it is because you lack direction and you lack the ability to say, help me.
Oh, that's a bar. Hey, wait. I know you want to watch this next video, but listen, if you are an entrepreneur, business coach, business consultant, or a small business owner who has a story and wants to learn how to create multiple streams of income from your story, I need you to text me right now, my book, to 646-687-4152. That is my personal number. I have been an author for over 12 years. I've written 10 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers, and I've sold over 100,000 books. But I've also helped a lot of my clients take their expertise and put it into a story, then create multiple streams of income from that. So I want to help you do the same thing. So text my book to 646-687-4152. All right, let's go back to the video.
Pay attention and listen, we about to teach class. Inside the vault, my man Ash Cash. So get your man right. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. you see him to change your life. Millionaire mindset, the best on earth. Blueprint, the wealth, the knowledge network. So get it while you can, and he's standing right here. Just come inside the vault and see black millionaires. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come inside the vault and see black millionaires. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You won't ask cash, you can catch it right here in the vault.
All right, so welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the planet. Listen, when I tell y'all I'm bringing heat after heat, I don't know if y'all ready, right? Because we have the greatest business development specialist on the planet, excluding nobody. Miss Donni Wiggins is in the building. Miss Donni, how are you?
Hey.
How you feeling?
I'm so excited to be here, Ash.
Nah,
I'm
thank you.
super low key.
Yeah.
I've been waiting on this phone
See,
call.
this was bound to happen. And one of the things that I appreciate about you is that like you literally are able to take businesses, whether it's established brands that have a lot of exposure but don't really have a business underneath them. You're able to really take that exposure and monetize it on to the next level. You're able to take people and help them build their business from scratch and get to 6 figures. Like that's a skill, right? Because especially nowadays where we live in this social media world, where everybody calls themselves a boss, everybody wants to be the CEO, everybody wants to, just be the person that's out there bossing, but really don't have the foundation or the structure around their business. So I really appreciate what you do, and I promise you, we're gonna get to the heat. But for those who don't know, in your words, who is Donni Wiggins?
Donnie Wiggins is the bomb.com.
That's it.
No, seriously. So I am a business development strategist, and ultimately what that means is I'm a business coach, right? People come to me when they are struggling in their business or they're looking for innovative ways to grow their business, and I help with that. I also train and develop people who desire to be coaches, consultants, and course creators from scratch. So it doesn't matter if you're in the beginning of your process in terms of that or at the end of your process and you need help putting some fine tuning on what you're doing. I am your girl for that. But outside of that, I am just, regular old Donnie, mom extraordinaire, daughter, and all those other things that come along with it.
No, I love that. And so, take me to the genesis of, Donnie becoming, a business development strategist. Like, did you wake up one day and was like, yo, you know what? I'm pretty dope at this and I'm gonna do this, or what kind of led you to this journey?
First of all, let me say I don't believe necessarily that things happen coincidentally or on accident.
Yeah.
But this literally fell into my lap.
Yeah.
So over the years, I've been trying, I had been trying my hand at entrepreneurship since I was 17 years old, like in college, trying to start cleaning businesses and all kinds of other things. And ultimately, in 2008 to 2010, I struggled really, really hard with my daughter. The real estate market crashed at that time. I was like a top realtor in Atlanta doing my thing. At that time, I was making about $250,000 a year. So you you couldn't tell me anything, right? Yeah. We had this huge house and the cars and all this stuff. And then the crash happened.
Oh, yeah.
And
you say you and your daughter, were you single mom or?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Single mom.
Yeah.
Single mom who at that time really thought that I had it going on. Little did I know that I had no relationship with money. Like none, right? The only relationship that I had with money was very short-lived. I earn it, I spend it.
Yeah.
That is what I did. So when the market crashed and I lost my job as a result of it, I had about 6 months worth of living expenses left. And that was 6 months if you don't make any mistakes with your money. Right. And so I ultimately ended up losing my house to foreclosure, losing my vehicles to repossession, and playing the game of not letting anybody know just how bad it was for me at that time until I just couldn't hide it anymore and moved back in with my mom. And I went from making about $250,000 a year, Ash, to passing on jobs for a while because I thought, well, this is going to bounce back and I'm never, ever, ever going to, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
I ended up having to go back into my same multiple six-figure industry, making it was like $11 or $12 an hour. Right?
And how old is your daughter at the time?
At that time, she's about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And she's 7 or 8 years old. And I'm in with my mom, and she allowed me to take those checks and figure life out. So I partnered with a friend at that time to open a clothing store. And we thought that we would open this store and see our name in the flashing lights on Peachtree Street in Atlanta. And then you go look at some real estate, you like, oh, that's how much that costs? No, we ain't doing that. Yeah. So we picked the B market, ended up being in Macon, Georgia, opened a clothing store, and the clothing store just did very, very well. And I ultimately ended up opening another clothing store in Atlanta, and that one did well until Instagram boutiques happened.
Oh, yeah.
And when Instagram boutiques happened, I had to make a decision at that point. Do I want to go with the trend or do I want to keep my store? Well, me being who I was, I had already started coaching at that time and didn't even realize it. Like I sold clothes for women who wanted to party and be sexy, and kids were coming in there. When I say kids, I mean like 15, 16 years old. I sold clothes then for like the reality TV stars because that was what was popping at that time. They come in and their parents would be buying stuff and I'm like, is this for you? Yeah. You know, clearly this isn't for you, is it? And they, oh, it's for my daughter. I'm like, oh, I can't let you buy that for your daughter. So they bring their daughters in and I show them how to pair it with a cardigan or some leggings and make it still cute, but age appropriate. So I had this thing where I'm like, if I take my store and I put it online, I'm gonna lose that personal interaction. So I didn't do that. And ultimately I was forced out of the market and had to close the store, right?
Both stores or?
Yeah, so both stores gone. So fast forward a couple of years through some other trial and error, I discovered the industry of network marketing. And I started working with the gentleman who became my mentor. And for network marketing, I'm sure you understand, but just in case some of your listeners don't, it's the MLM industry. And you either think it's a scam or you believe in it wholeheartedly, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely no middle.
It's no middle.
Yeah,
it's either a scam or you believe in it.
Yeah.
And I had always been taught that it was a scam.
Yeah.
But here's this guy who's making millions of dollars, like in this industry. It was selling coffee at that time. And I'm like, people getting their coffee, they're drinking the coffee, they like the coffee. There's nothing scammy about this. Right. Just don't tell my mom I'm doing this, y'all. Like, that's literally what I said. Don't tell my mama I'm doing this because she will disown me.
Right.
Well, it ended up being that I got into that industry and super grateful for it because the personal development, if nothing else, that came along with that, like plugging into becoming a better you and understanding that what really is happening to you is happening because of you, right? And learning how to reverse the behavior and the habits that put you in these situations where you've lost it all. That's what I took from that industry. And as I began to personally develop, I began to have success in that industry. And I went to different companies and, eventually became the top female income earner of my company. Nice. And so then people would want to come and say, well, Donnie, how are you doing this? You're a single mom. Can you help me? Well, Ash, in the MLM industry, it's about recruiting if you want to be a top leader. Yeah. But there was something in me that would literally tell people, you don't belong in this industry. Why don't you go start a business doing this? Like, I'm listening to you. I hear what your goals are. I hear what you're talking about. You should go do something different. And people would legitimately take that advice and go start these businesses. Yeah. So one day in like 2014, somebody said, somebody hit me on Facebook and said, how much do you charge for your services? To do what? Right. Charge for what? Yeah. And he's like, I want you to help me, start a business. Okay, I can help you start a business. I've never charged before, but let's run a number. So I called the number out and he agreed. And it was on from that point forward. And that's kind of how I fell into coaching. It was never on a vision board to become a coach. It was never even a skill set that I realized I had until other people pointed out the fact that I had it. I just knew that I had a certain level of determination and could start businesses and get some success from them. Yeah. And then other people started to gravitate toward it, and now it's a thing.
Yeah, I love that backstory, and I thank you for that because, like, literally, to your point, like, everything you went through actually set you up perfectly to be in this space from, number one, being a high earner, and then having, not really having a good relationship with money, and that, kind of took you, back, which is the same in business. If you don't have a proper foundation, you're one mistake, you're one tragedy away, then, going into, multi-level marketing and really, getting that personal development, that mindset that's necessary to have, the grit to, be successful, to having a business and, those businesses being successful, but then not being able to pivot with the times and being able to pivot with the times, having to make that choice has caused you to have the skill set. And then now, you're a business development strategist and you're helping, brands get to that next level. What would you say, is the most fulfilling part of that, right? Like you being able to, this industry fell in your lap. It's something that you were good at. You didn't realize it, but now you're doing it. What's fulfilling about, what you do?
You know what I love the most about what I do? I help, and sometimes people get offended by this term, but I help normal people become extraordinary. And it's so important because our children and even us, in our generations, typically we've grown up looking at athletes and singers and entertainers and actors as the epitome of what success looks like. Like, that's all we know. Yeah. Because so many of us don't have someone to the left and the right to look at and say, oh, there's my mile marker for success. There's my example. There's my target. It's literally somebody that we have to look at the TV screen for to say that's success. Yeah. And now with what I do, I literally instill hope and belief into people that you can do that. Like your kids, your parents, your siblings, your friends don't have to look on TV for an idea of what success should be. They can look at you. You have a good idea. Let me help you birth that. And now I've helped people who are just everyday people like me and you become extraordinary. And now there are these brands online that are killing it, and people are thanking them now for saying yes and stepping out there on faith and taking the first step to being successful. And I look at that and I look at these stories and I remember how scared people were when they first started working with me. I remember how many doubts they had in the beginning. I remember how they had to be convinced of their own greatness. And to see some of my clients and then even some of my students who have gone on now and they're sitting in this seat across from you, I'm like, yo, that is so dope.
Oh, man.
If you are an entrepreneur, business coach, or small business owner who wants to get more visibility for your product or service, then consider advertising on Inside the Vault. We have been seen and heard over 2 million times, and as the show continues to grow, your ad would be embedded in our episodes forever. So the return on investments on advertising with us is unmeasurable and invaluable. If you're interested in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, then text podcast to 646-687-4152 or email us at info@insidethevaultshow.com. Allow your business to get the visibility that it deserves.
Especially. And so, you said something, about, perseverance and, really just how having to, use that grit, right, to get to the next level. Where did you get that mindset from, right? Because when you think about, someone who's making a lot of money, and then the recession happens and got to go back home with mom and, single mom that has a daughter that that you have to take care of. And then, something in you tells you, all right, I'm going to take this other leap of faith, right? And then that doesn't work out, but then you don't give up and you go, where does that mindset come from that just says, yo, you know what? I'm going to take a hit, but I'm not going to lay down. I'm going to keep going.
My daughter. My daughter. Being a parent changes you. Being a single parent changes you significantly. And my biggest fear in life has always been my daughter having to look around me for an example of what a woman is supposed to be, right? I felt like I failed her very early in life by not choosing to make a relationship with her father, who's amazing, by the way, by not choosing to make that relationship work or do the work. I was young at that time. I didn't know what the work meant. So I walked away from that. And, then I said I would spoil her with love and attention and things. And then that opportunity got ripped away, right around the age of 7 when I lost everything. And I am talking about a kid who at the time was in private school and had like this princess castle room with everything customized, and it was awesome, to me having to fill up the toilet with gallons of water to flush it. Right? To me, having to split Wendy's value meals with her. Like, we go to Wendy's, you get the chicken nuggets, I get the fries, we split the drink. And I was never unsure that my circumstances would change. I just didn't know when or how. I knew it would change because I'm too smart for it to not change. Like, God, you got to want more from me than this. You wouldn't give me this kind of responsibility for me to just fall on my face and stay there. So I knew that there would be more. I just didn't know how or when, and I was incredibly prideful. But I will tell you this, what really changed for me was the day that the bank sent a family in to look at my house that I was foreclosing on for a short sale option. This family comes in, and there's a daughter and a son. And my daughter, again, at this time, she had this purple and pink custom done bedroom. It was amazing, right? And I had never shown any emotion about what I was going through. Because again, I'm gonna make it. Like this is a drop in the bucket for me. It's fine.
Yeah.
That day, this little boy and this little girl around my daughter's age starts to argue about who was gonna get her bedroom in her face. That did something for me or to me. And I had to walk out of the room, and I'll never forget, I went and sat on the staircase in the hallway, and my daughter comes looking for me. I'm crying. I got my hands in my lap, and I didn't know how much she knew. But she came and she put her arms around me and she said, Mommy, it's okay as long as the boy doesn't get my room. In that moment, I knew just how much she understood. And because she was so selfless, like she never made me feel bad for what I couldn't do. She was just supportive. I had to, it became my life's mission to pay her back. I will make this up to you in the most major way. And that, just thinking of that, like for me, if I had just taken that circumstance and stayed at a subpar job and continued to work for $12 an hour when I knew that I had all these dreams inside of me, Ash, to me, it would have been me saying that my lack of belief in myself is more important than my daughter's future.
Wow.
And I couldn't do that.
Wow.
So I had to be relentless.
Wow. I mean, I you know, and it's funny because I felt that because, you know, I remember, you know, leaving my job as a banker. It wasn't the recession. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur, and, you know, married. My daughter's 2 years old at the time, and literally having to look at my wife and look at my daughter because, you know, as an entrepreneur, I couldn't make it, you know, and now, you know, I'm living this six-figure lifestyle as a banker. I quit to be a, you know, entrepreneur. I made 60 grand my first year, but it wasn't enough because I was living a six-figure lifestyle. And so now, you know, there's foreclosures happening, and I'm sitting, you know, I remember I like literally would sit in the driveway and cry because I gotta face my wife and my daughter, and they didn't act, I did this though, you know. And so that's why, like, I you know, I feel that, and I understand that level of, you know, really like, all right, you know, this is why I can't give up, you know. And then how has your story and what you've been through allowed you to also now pour into other business folks, right? And I think that's the beauty though, right? Because you said earlier, like, there is no coincidence, right? And I think that's the beauty of being a credible messenger and understanding that sometimes when adversity hits, you may not understand why it hits, but it actually allows you to serve better. So how has your experience, you know, helped you in how you work with your clients?
You can't feed me an excuse. You just can't. Try telling me that you've played hide and seek in the dark with your daughter because the sun was going down and there were no lights to turn off or turn on. And I still won't let you slide because I've been there and done that, right? And my story is really above the marker. There are people who have done and gone through worse and that have achieved much more, right? And so my story, my journey, number one, has helped me. I think what really sets me apart is that I've never forgotten what I've gone through. I just don't stay there. So when I have someone new who comes to me and they say, Donnie, you know, can I do this? I'm going through this, and this. I never tell people, oh, what you go through is insignificant. It doesn't matter, right? I can remember exactly where you are. Like, I know from firsthand experience where you are in your life right now. And I know what I had to do to crawl out of that place. So I can offer you similar advice to help you crawl out of that place. But most importantly, like, you're dealing with a person who relentless should have been my middle name. Maybe even my first, because there is nothing but fight in me, right? There is fight, period. It's win, period. Like, there is no win or lose. And so even with my clients, and my students, I am determined. Like, there is no lose.
Yeah.
It's win or lesson.
Yeah,
That's it, right? That's it.
Yeah.
So I think when you're dealing with somebody who has had a glimpse of both sides, like, I understand what it means to be super successful. I understand what it means to lose everything and feel like a complete failure.
Yeah.
I understand when you just don't know where to start and you're just begging and up late at night talking to God, like, please just, if you bail me out of this one more time, if you show me a resource, I will make a way from it, right?
Yeah.
I get it. And so, I don't let people quit. And honestly, Ash, I don't even work with the kind of people anymore. Early on in my career, I had to do a whole lot of begging and pulling and prodding people to believe in themselves. I don't even attract that type of audience anymore. Like, the people who choose to work with me, they are looking for, I'm very direct, and I do this on purpose, right?
Yeah.
I'm very direct and in your face, and these are people who have already done that. They've already gone through something. They've already decided that they want to do something, but they're procrastinating, and they need a real kick in the ass to say, this is what we're about to do, and stay on track, or you've wasted all this money, right?
Yeah.
So I believe I help in that way. Every time I get on a call with someone, they're like, I just love your very direct approach, and I know that if you're holding me accountable, I can't fall off, and you won't.
Yeah.
Won't let you.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so now we fast forward, right? Like, greatest business development strategist on the planet, top 10 co-host of a top 10 business podcast.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, all of the things, the great things that you're doing right now, and, the fulfillment, that you get, not only affecting lives and having a great impact, but also being able to command, the income that comes with that great impact.
Yeah. We out here killing it, Ash.
Killing it,
If I gotta,
yeah.
like, we're killing it for real. And I can only kill it in what I do if there are more and more people believing in themselves and going for it.
Yeah.
So, I work from a place of the more people I help get what they want, the more I'm going to get what I want, right?
Yeah.
And yes, so co-host of the Social Proof podcast, we are actually the #1 African-American hosted podcast in the world for entrepreneurship. And that's a big deal. And #5 overall, non-race specific.
Yep.
And you're hosting a podcast that's really, really doing numbers and killing it.
Thank you.
This is a life-changing opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like, you get to impact people that you'll never see in person.
Absolutely.
You'll never meet them, right?
Yeah.
And it just is what it is. So that's always a really amazing feeling. That podcast and the exposure that I get from it, coupled with just my mastery of organic marketing, my mastery of connecting with people, has just really allowed me to, in this last year specifically, scale my business like crazy. But doing so only as a result of connecting with people where they are and truly developing talent and helping people to see some success in their lives. So it's a great time and place right now. On top of that, not just even in business, like, my biggest goal when I started this, like, my why, it's so cliche. Everybody says, oh, you got to have a why, but you do.
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, the cliche stuff is what works, right? It's the basics that work.
Yeah.
And so my biggest why was obviously my daughter, but then also my mom. Like, my mom is also single, and she was always there for me to lean on as a kid, as a teenager, as a grown woman, as a big disappointment, and as somebody that she could also be incredibly proud of. It didn't matter what I had going on in my life. Like, my mom was there to cheer me on if I was doing something great, and she was literally there to bail me out of jail when I wasn't doing something so great, right? And I had to do it for her. Like, I wanted her to know that all of her sacrifice paid off, and I've been able to impact my family first, which is a big deal.
Yeah, and I love
to me.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. And so now, you have someone who is starting out in in business. than looking to kind of be a boss. What would you say is the biggest mistake that you see a lot of like first time entrepreneurs or first time business people, doing, as they're building their brands?
Number one, trying to be a boss too fast.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're a boss, that means somebody's on payroll.
Oh.
You can't
Talk heavy.
You can't be a boss
Yeah.
if you're not cutting checks and
Yeah.
managing a team of people.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think people are so concerned with making all the money
Yeah.
that they forget to get clarity and focus and direction on what they should be doing.
Yeah.
One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is attempting to operate in a lane that's not theirs. Attempting like jumping from idea to idea, trying to multitask, trying to do something that is not in your area of expertise.
Yeah.
Right? So I see this all the time. I'll meet people somewhere, and at this particular time they're doing like content creation. And then, they see somebody coming on your podcast and talk about the trucking industry, and now
Right.
they're teaching trucking.
Right.
They went and got them one truck,
Right.
made $1,000,
Yeah.
and now they got a trucking course.
Right.
And I think just being all over the place and not asking for help,
Yeah.
because the help is available.
Yeah.
At one point, it wasn't easy to find the help, but now there's no excuse. So if you're a brand new entrepreneur or you're trying to crack into that model and you're not experiencing the success, I guarantee you it is because you lack direction and you lack the ability to say, help me. Help me.
Yeah, yeah. And why do you think that? I think especially in our community,
Yeah.
in the Black community, there is this sense of pride, this sense of I got this sense of even though I'm hurting or even though I need the help, I'll be okay. Why do you why is that?
I think just since our beginning of time, like showing weakness was a vulnerability that exposed you to the point that you could be destroyed. And in our communities specifically, getting help has always been frowned upon.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Growing up, I'm older than you, but when I was like in school, middle school, high school, like seeing a therapist, what?
Yeah.
So what's wrong with him or her, right?
Yeah.
Staying after school to get tutoring was not the cool thing to do. Like being that person who always asks for help, raising your hand to ask questions in class, everybody thinks you're stupid, right? So it was never really the cool thing to do to ask for help. And when you perpetuate that idea to a bunch of kids, they grow up to be adults that never ask for help.
Yeah.
Well, and then guess what? If these kids can't get help from external forces or external people, they go home into a household with parents who also never ask for help. So now you're being raised by parents who may not be able to help you so much either, so you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out. Many of us are raised in households where our parents just didn't have the time. Many of us were raised in households where we did have parents who had the time, but we're talking about the majority here.
Yeah.
And our parents were working, they didn't have the time. So now there's a group of kids and teenagers who are figuring it out on their own. I know for me, it wasn't that my mom didn't have time. She didn't see the vision of entrepreneurship because it was something that she had tried when she was at that time my age, and it didn't work out so well for her. So as any other parent, you don't want that to happen to your baby. I want better for my daughter. I don't want her to go through what I went through trying to make these dreams happen. Just be realistic, Donnie, and get a job, right?
Yeah.
So I was fighting against that. And so because of that, I couldn't go to my mom for help because she didn't support it early on. So what am I left to do?
Yeah.
Figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
And so now we've got all of these people, for whatever their reason is, trying to figure it out on their own and feeling like if I ask for help, I look weak. If I ask for help, I look stupid, right? Or if I ask for help, I look unqualified, when the smartest thing that you can do is ask for help. And think about like the people who we admire the most, right? Your favorite athlete has a coach.
Facts.
Your favorite singer has a coach, right? If they're on tour right now, there's a coach backstage with them. It's not because they don't know how to sing. It's because they're being held accountable to be better, to be stretched, to go a step further, right? And the same thing applies here. Like, I don't know if we necessarily admire the president of the United States. That's personal choice. But the president of the United States has help, right? Nobody who's done something significant, powerful, and great has done it on their own. Nobody.
Right.
And I think that we have to start communicating that message. And I think we are. I think that especially here in Atlanta, like this entrepreneurship circle, like we're making help the success choice.
Right. And I love that you said that, because I think that this new generation of entrepreneurs are now, showing you that even though I'm at this high level, I'm investing so much money, in my personal development. I, got a business coach, a marriage coach, like you name a fitness coach, like you name it. And then, they are not ashamed either to have that conversation, to let people know that in order to actually perform at a high level, you're going to need help.
Yeah.
And
asking for help should be a lifestyle. Ash, it's not like situational or conditional. Like, we really got to get out of our own heads. And the thing is, like, I think too, people misunderstand what help actually means. And we're in this day and age right now of all of this microwave success, this perceived microwave success. It's like, no, maybe they just started their Instagram page a year ago, but they didn't tell you all the things that they've been trying for the last 8 years offline, right? And so we were talking about a big mistake that entrepreneurs are making. Another one is improperly managing their expectations, right? Well, I'm gonna start this business today, and by the end of the year, I will have made $1 million. Well, have you ever made $1 million doing anything?
Right.
Have you ever made $100,000 doing anything? And so when I work with entrepreneurs, I usually say first, let's out-earn what you've made at highest. Like, so let's out-earn what you're making at work. Let's let that be the first mile marker, right? So if you're making $2,500 a month at work, let's first make $2,500 a month from your own thing. If you're making $25,000 a month at work, then let's make the first mile marker be make $25,000 a month doing your own thing. Like, managing your expectations and understanding that help from a coach, whether it's a fitness coach, a relationship coach, like me, a business coach, help isn't a magic pill. It is not you get with a fitness coach and you lose 100 pounds in 7 days. That just doesn't happen. It's not you get the business coach and you're making 7 figures in 7 days. That typically doesn't happen. You got some unicorn stories, but that typically doesn't happen. And understanding that help is designed to collapse the time frame a little bit. Help you get to the finish line just a little bit faster. Help you achieve your goals just a little bit faster. Avoid some of the mistakes that you can go through if you keep trying to DIY your life.
Got it. And then what does your ideal client looks like, right? Like, if you would be able to paint a picture of, like, I want to work with this person because this is the type of person that I can help get to the finish line. What does that person look like?
Yeah, so if we're talking in terms of me directly working with somebody in terms of developing their business, number one, I want somebody who's coachable and teachable. It just has to be, right? If you come in and you feel like you know it all, then you don't need a coach. Go do your thing. Keep doing what you're doing. The second thing is someone who is excited to get through these lessons, not losses, but lessons as quickly as possible so we can discover what the win is. I work with entrepreneurs who bring value into the marketplace, so you have to have something valuable to share. No fluff. Like, we're not putting fluff out there. If you're coming to me to help with a course or a coaching program and I go through it and it's trash, like, I'm gonna tell you it's trash, right? Like, we not from my organization. We're not putting that out there. So somebody who can really look internally at themselves and say, listen, I need help. I feel like I'm on the right track, or I might not even be sure that I'm on the right track, but I am ready to sit down listen, learn, and execute.
Yeah.
And then essentially and ideally somebody who wants to take what they learn and then go back out there and teach it to other people.
And why is that important, right? Because, I know that, there are a lot of people out there who, go and they learn something. And like you said, they do something one time and now they have a course. That feels a little unethical, right?
A
little unethical. But though there is a science though to learning and teaching. Why is that? Why do you want somebody to learn and then go teach?
So it's learn, apply, teach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I see so many people who I've seen people come and take my program.
Yeah.
And I have a 7-week program. And by the 9th week, they got a program. I'm like, what? Because the math ain't mathing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you're not making any money.
Right.
Well, because you forgot the application part.
Right.
You got to apply.
Yeah.
And you have to apply with more than just yourself.
Right.
Like, go out there and get some results with other people.
Yeah.
But I believe that the whole learning, apply, teaching concept is so important for a few different reasons. Number one, it keeps you sharp. It keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
So you're the money man.
Yeah.
If you are constantly learning new wealth strategies, right?
Yeah.
And then you're applying them and then you teach it, it helps you to be sharp.
Absolutely.
It helps you to learn a blueprint that will set you apart from other people.
Yeah.
But then if you didn't teach it, think about all the people who wouldn't even know that these wealth principles were possible.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's so important that you learn, apply, teach. And you don't have to give it all away for free. You don't have to give it all away for free, and that's not what we mean, right?
Yeah.
But you do need to learn, you do need to apply, and then you need to help. You need to be the evidence or the example that winning in whatever your lane is possible
Yeah.
for other people.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's important because just the retention of it. And the reason why I asked that because there's so many people who, learn, they skip the application and then they're just teaching. We have those people. But then we have people who learn that don't apply and they don't teach and they're learning, like they're serial learners.
Serial learners.
All right, I'm gonna take this course, and then I'm gonna take that course, I'm gonna take that course, and then now courses are scams, right? Because they're like, nah, don't spend that money, but you didn't apply, right? You didn't teach, and so what advice would you have for that person who has that 9 to 5, right? This could be a scary time. Where the pandemic happened, some people are losing their jobs. Somebody might have a job right now, and they're like, "Listen, I can't rely on this one source of income.
Yeah.
I want to start a business." And there's right ways to start businesses and wrong ways to start businesses. So having somebody that has a 9 to 5 who wants to start a business, what's the right way, to approach it?
So the very first thing that I think is important, which is something that I struggled with when I worked a job, I left corporate America in 2014, and I struggled with respecting my employment. Not necessarily my employer, but my employment.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it put me in a position where I could afford to go out there and try to start and test things out, right?
Yeah.
That paycheck was my capital investment. Right? There was no investor. Credit was shot, didn't have a whole lot saved. That paycheck, those 40 hours, was my investment into my own idea, number one. The other thing is so many people overlook paying attention to what you do at your 9 to 5 as a possible entryway into entrepreneurship. So in 2014, at my last job, I was a property manager.
Yeah.
And I worked with the film industry primarily at that time, where they were coming into this exclusive condominium building that I managed, and different production companies would come in and want to lease like a dozen condos for their starring cast and their production crew and all that good stuff. And then it started to become a pattern of behavior where every time a new TV show or movie was filming in Atlanta, I was the go-to person to find them housing. And then what would happen is the property that I managed got full. And so now you want me to help you find property in other buildings.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I know where the properties are.
Right.
I know people who need the property.
Right.
Maybe I'll start my own property management company focusing specifically on the film industry and athletes, because you got athletes who are coming in for training camp and things like that.
Yeah.
And I did that.
Yeah.
And that was what really allowed me to like take a deep breath and let it out and say, okay, now we got some money to work with.
Yeah.
Now I can afford to learn a couple of lessons on this extra money. But in addition to MLM at that time, the business that I started was a property management company, doing something in an industry that I already had 13 years experience in.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like working for the company that I worked with. Like those people had one more time. They had one more time to play with me. Yeah. But I did enjoy what I actually did. So I tell people, like, you may be somebody's executive assistant right now. Are you an incredibly good executive assistant? If so, if you don't know what you want to do for a business, is it possible? Is it I'm just asking,
Right.
Is it possible for you to go and train somebody else to be an entrepreneur's executive assistant? Could you do that? Okay. Could you do that 3 times?
Yeah.
Now, can we kind of establish a pattern and a blueprint there? Yes? Okay. Can we package that into a coaching program or a course?
Yeah.
Bam. You're in business.
Yeah.
Learn, apply, teach.
And teach. I love that.
Even leveraging your job if you have to do it.
Yeah, and I think I love that too, because I think that people don't realize that number one, your job is your first investor, but also your job it's not charity. They're not paying you because they like you. They're paying you because you are increasing their bottom line.
Period.
You are giving them some type of value that whatever they're paying you are worth way more than that. Which means that whatever that skill set is, even if you don't like the job, even if you don't like the employer, that employment is proof actually that you have value, that if you just continue to like hone in on that value, you will be valuable. And so I want to pivot a little bit, because you said something earlier that I just can't go away from, where you were making, $250,000, but you still didn't have a relationship with money, right? And so now, as a high earner, right? What are some things that you have learned about money and that you're doing differently to make sure that, just because I'm making, more income and I'm, financially secure, that, I'm not just a high earner that doesn't have a relationship with money?
So the first thing that I do now, Ash, is I actually study money. Like, I study money and wealth principles.
Yeah.
Whereas at that time, when I lost everything, my relationship with money was toxic.
Yeah.
Like, I literally worked up the street from Phipps Plaza, and I would call in to the Chanel store inside of, Phipps, and I would say, can I come on my lunch break? Like, I just got a $20,000 check today, right?
Wow.
I would go in there and I would do those kind of things. But back then I was studying reality TV and fashion magazines, right? And I still like that stuff.
Yeah.
But now I make it a point, my circle has changed. And so the conversation changes.
Yeah.
And when the conversation changes, the compensation changes. And then your decisions.
That's a bar. When the conversation changes, that's a bar. It's a bar.
And when your compensation changes, your responsibilities change, right? Making more money. The first thing that I had to understand was making more money didn't relieve all my problems. It didn't make my problems any less. It just gave me a different set of problems.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
So whereas now I am able to, maybe pay my rent or mortgage on time, now I have to worry about being able to pay a staff on time, right? So the problems just get different. So studying money is the first thing, and then learning how to, people hate this word budget, but it's so healthy to have. So now I actually budget how much money I can spend on frivolous things, because I still like frivolous things, right? I'm gonna spend it all on a black business, or I could spend it all on a high label designer by society standards, right? But now the difference is I know a couple of tricks and tips on money, so I know how to I know how to make that a marketing expense and then a tax write-off, right? I know now how to study wealth building options like trading Forex and investing in stocks.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Wall Street Trapper in a conversation told me on my daughter's birthday, I posted this video of me purchasing her like some Dior sneakers and a Dior bag and I think some Gucci shoes and some other stuff. And Trap called me on the phone and he said, yo, I saw what you did for your daughter. That was real dope. All that Dior you bought. We're on FaceTime.
Yeah.
He's like, all that Dior you bought, that was dope.
Yeah.
You got the stocks?
Ooh.
Dang, Trap.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So there's another lesson. Let me, before I buy this stuff, let me get a couple of stocks, right?
Yeah.
So again, when the conversation changes, the compensation changes.
Absolutely.
And now I have friends who talk about money, and I don't claim to be a wealth expert.
Yeah.
I'm not, right? Yeah. I'm just making better choices intentionally.
Yeah.
I know that I can never go back to zero, right? I know that I can never be broke again.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I did to become broke in the first place.
Yeah.
And I just won't do those things anymore.
Yeah.
And I now have people in place
Yeah.
that offer me wisdom about what to do with my money.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse, right? I don't know everything there is to know about stocks and, trust accounts and IRAs and all this stuff. I don't know everything there is to know about that. But now I have people around me who impart wisdom upon me. So if you're someone who's struggling to make great financial decisions, so what?
Yeah.
Who cares that you don't know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
A big principle that I learned this year is that it's not about the how, it's about the who. And so you may not know how to start a business right away.
Yeah.
Who cares that you don't know how to do it?
Right.
Who do you know? Who do you have access that can help you do it?
Yeah.
You may have terrible money habits and you don't know how to create a budget and how to get ahead of the game financially. Who cares? It doesn't matter how to do it.
Yeah.
Who do you know that can impart some wisdom on you that can put you in a better financial position?
Absolutely. No, I love that. And so now, all that you've been through, all that you've learned, all that you've been able to coach people through, all of this experience that Donnie Wiggins has right now, take me back to 18-year-old Donnie.
Ooh.
What are you telling Donnie at 18? What advice are you giving her?
What I'm giving her, my daughter, she's 19 years old.
Yeah.
What am I giving her? What am I giving 18-year-old Donnie? Number one, I would tell her, get ready because you are outstanding.
Yeah.
Girl, you are outstanding.
Yeah.
And to never, ever forget that.
Yeah.
Because grown Donnie forgot that
Ooh.
along the way many times, right?
Yeah.
Grown Donnie negotiated her value way too many times.
Wow.
And I would tell 18-year-old Donnie that your value is a non-negotiable. Don't negotiate your value.
Yeah.
Number 2 or 3, I would tell 18-year-old Donnie to not take the pain so seriously. Not at 18. Don't take the pain so seriously, because the pain to come. Now that one you want to take a little bit more seriously, but don't take the pain so seriously because you can't escape this life without pain. It is automatic, right? You just can't.
Yeah. Because
we are human, we have this human factor in us that causes us to disappoint people. Ash, you were a disappointment to somebody.
Absolutely.
And you'll be a disappointment to somebody in the future.
Absolutely.
I am a disappointment to somebody, and I'll be a disappointment to somebody in the future.
Yeah.
And so we have to understand that. And 18-year-old Donnie, somebody's going to disappoint you.
Right.
And you have to understand that that's human behavior. So you cannot attach your happiness to a person.
Yeah.
You have to attach your happiness to truly what drives you and moves you on the inside. People can contribute to, but don't ever let anybody rob you of your happiness. And then most importantly, I know 18-year-old Donnie, you're hearing this from everywhere, but truly, don't give up. If you are strong enough to continue, the life that is waiting for you will be bigger than you ever imagined it to be.
Wow.
Like that's all I got.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was really good, and I appreciate that because, fast shout to your daughter, fast shout to the young women that are watching, and even the young men, right? That, this is gonna hit home, and so I appreciate that. And so now, I know you love your Chanel bags, I know you love black businesses, I know you love Dior. With this abundance, this financial abundance that you've been able to acquire, to manifest, and really work and get, what would you say has been the most lavish thing that you have done with money, the most extravagant use of money you've made so far?
The most lavish thing? I don't really do a whole lot of lavish things.
As you play with the Rolex. Talk to us. Yeah. She's like the most lavish. I don't really do.
So I did buy 2 Mercedes-Benz trucks in the same day a couple of months ago.
Talk heavy.
I bought one for my daughter, and then I went back and said, you know what, I deserve a Benz too. I went and got myself one, right? So I did go and do that. I did buy the Rolex.
Yes.
And then I think probably the most lavish thing that I've done, like, I pay a lot of overhead in my home. And so that's really lavish. But I truly reward myself in a lavish way very infrequently. This year, I will say that the most lavish thing that I've done so far is purchase the Rolex.
Yeah. Love it. And so, with that being said, what has been the most impactful thing that you've done with money?
Okay, so a couple of things. The most impactful thing that I've done since, in entrepreneurship, a couple of things. Number one, I have given back, and I've just given back and poured back. And we're talking about with money, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I give money as much as I spend money. And I used to have a charity, 2 of them, Warm for the Winter and Smart Kids Club. And the law makes it so difficult, so hard for you to give people money, right? That I said, you know what, forget this. I literally, like my daughter will tell you, on my birthday, even on her birthday, I make it so that we go out and we find homeless people to give to. I am always soliciting on social media for single moms and people who just need help. But the biggest thing that I have done, most impactful thing that I've done with money, honestly, Ash, is very, very selfish. And it was, it was changing my mom's lifestyle, right? My mom used to say, when I was in my 20s, my mom would say, because I was so irresponsible financially, she would say, man, I'm so worried if something ever happens to you, if something ever happens to me, that I would leave you here and you can't take care of yourself. Like, that's my biggest worry. And I'd always be like, Mom, I'm okay. And then as I got older, the roles reversed. Like, if something ever happened to me, I don't know if my mom would be okay financially. Earlier, well, not this year, last year, I got COVID. And I was sick, really sick, for like 3 months, to the point where I didn't think I was gonna pull through. And I remember having to make a call to my mom and making a call to my daughter. And in the beginning, I was kind of like, oh, it's okay. It's, we didn't know what it was. And then as I was having more and more difficulty breathing, and they were, talking about a treatment plan and, all this good stuff, I literally had to tell Deja, like, the access codes to everything. Pay Mimi's rent, pay your tuition, finish school. These are your instructions. Like, technically family SOPs, right? These are the standard operating procedures that you need to apply in my absence. And being able to allow my mom to be retired and fully cover her overhead, for me, is the most impactful thing that I've done, because it's just what I started for. I had to do this.
I don't know where we go from there. I appreciate that. That was powerful, and I appreciate all the game that you've given us. I mean, I know you have, Six Figure EDU. Can you talk to us a little bit about, that program?
Yeah, so Six Figure EDU is my university that I am building, and my hero program inside of Six Figure EDU right now is the Six Figure Accelerator. And ultimately, it is a developmental program for coaches, for people who aspire to be coaches, consultants, and course creators, to fully develop you and those programs from scratch. And what I basically did, Ash, is realize that over the years of doing like one-on-one coaching, I need to help more people. And I can't spend every waking hour of my day coaching people one-on-one. So I literally put together all my maybe 10 years of coaching experience into this program that said, if you came to me and said, Donnie, I want to create a coaching program, I want to create a course or a consulting program, what's the blueprint? What's the journey that I would take you through? So I put that in a 7-week accelerator program. And the goal is for you to produce something that is incredibly valuable to the marketplace, and that becomes in high demand for you to go on and have your own six-figure business as a coach, consultant, or course creator. Nice. So it's really, really awesome. The program just celebrated its 1-year anniversary. I do not sell overnight success stories because it's just, most people won't be an overnight success story. Right. Hard truth. It is what it is, right? But we have developed several six-figure earners like in as little as 4 months. Wow. Up until this point, a year later. So super excited about that program. And I think I have a special link for your tribe here.
The insiders, we take care of our insiders.
Sixfigurevault.com. And so the number 6figurevault.com. If you guys go there, and I'll know that you came from the podcast, we'll do something special for you there. But it's a hugely impactful program. Sometimes people are like, oh, but I want to work with you on a one-on-one level. And I'm like, the best part about that is that you still get my coaching. Like I still show up for you weekly and give you feedback. And I will tell you if it's an amazing program, but at the same time, I'm gonna tell you if it's trash, because I just want you to be great. Absolutely. For me, the important thing is, one of the things that I noticed when I was combing through other people's courses, and when I took courses even on my own, is that many programs will teach you a skill or they'll teach you a system, but they don't teach both, right? And so you'll complete a program and you're kind of left at the end like, okay, so what do I do now? And I wanted to put something together that's incredibly comprehensive, that answers the what I do right now and what I do next. So you get all of those steps, like not just learning the skill set of being a coach, consultant, or course creator, not just learning who you have to become as a person to actually have influence and impact over people, but also understanding what your execution strategy is month after month, day after day, week after week to actually be successful. Yeah. No,
I love that. All right, so we're going to do real quick our lightning round. We got to do the signature lightning round. And what we do in the lightning round, we literally take, bank terms and flip them real quick, right? And so the first term we're going to do is deposit slip. When you go into a bank, you fill out the deposit slip, you're putting money in the bank.
Okay.
But for us here inside the vault, deposit slip is a slip up, a money mistake. What has been your biggest deposit slip on your journey so far?
Biggest money mistake. My biggest deposit slip so far was shopping all of my money away.
All right. Number 2, charge off. So a charge off, you borrow money from the bank.
Okay.
You don't pay it back.
Okay.
They charge it off. They're like, she's not going to pay this back. But here inside the vault, charge off for us is mindset or people. What type of mindset or people did you have to charge off on your journey?
Like get rid of?
Get rid of. You have to say, look, I'm not thinking this way, or I'm not around these type of people. Like,
I had to get rid of, Ash, I got rid of a lot of people. I had to get rid of, number one, people who constantly said that they wanted to do something but never actually did anything. That was one. And I had to get rid of those people who, when I shared my excitement about an idea, their first question was, what if it doesn't work? I had to get rid of those people because I don't need that energy around me. And then I had to get rid of people who wanted to be me instead of support me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least, trust account, right? So your trust account is where you take your assets, your valuables, you put it in that account so it could grow, so you can protect it, right? And so what mindset or people that are part of your trust account, the mindset that helps you grow, the people that help you grow?
What's the question?
What type of mindset or people that are in your trust account that help you grow?
I think I would say that the people who are around me right now that help me grow are people who have the mindset of it has to work or it has to work. I have the mindset, the people around me have the mindset of yes or yes. The people around me are go-getters and they figure it out. Like the people around me, one of my affirmations is I believe in my ability to figure it out. And the people who I have around me also believe in their ability to figure it out. These are people now who, instead of like back in the day, we used to do it for the club, right? We used to do it for the rite of passage to stand on the sofa and buy bottles just to show out, right? And now I am around people whose mindset is now that the rite of passage is setting our families free and helping to set other families free. People who are super selfless, whether they're giving the information away or selling the information away, they've made it a duty to impact our people, our communities, our tribe, our generations, and their families. And those are the people that I want around me right now, people who are moving at a fast pace but have a whole lot to say in the meantime. Like I am hanging around people right now, Ash, that it would be stupid of me to not have a notebook on me every time I'm in that circle. Every single time I'm in that circle, because you never know when the bar is going to get dropped that will change your life. And then ultimately, I am hanging around people right now who prioritize investing in themselves. Like I'm hanging around people, and you might be one of them, who's dropping 55 grand on masterminds, right? Like it's insane, 55 grand on masterminds. And I'm seeing the fruits of that investment like manifest and pay off. I am hanging around those kind of people who make me feel like I'm not doing enough yet. And I'm thankful.
Absolutely. Listen, y'all, look, you don't need to go to Harvard. You don't need to get your MBA. We got all the business strategy here inside the vault. Donnie Wiggins, listen, the greatest business development strategist on the planet. Make sure you check out her program, sixfigurevault.com. The number 6figurevault.com. If somebody wanted to connect with you, if they want to get more of that MBA, that that wisdom, that thing that's gonna get them to 6, 7, 8 figures, where can they find you?
So you can always get updates from me. Just shoot me a text. Like literally, you can text me. It's right on my phone, 404-737-2767. I give away business pro tips on a regular basis. And then I have other things you can find out about there. Again, that's 404-737-2767. And then holla at your girl on Instagram, right there at Donnie Wiggins _. That's DONNIWIGGINS _. 2 best ways to get at me. And then, of course, Six Figure Vault.
Sixfigurevault.com. And check her out on the #1 business podcast on the planet. Make sure you check out the episode though, because there's an episode that did like 300,000 with somebody talking about some God on display. He had the all blue on. He was going crazy on that joint. I think it's at 300,000. I don't know.
Okay.
But check that out. Social Proof Podcast with my brother David Shands. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all you do. All right, y'all. We're closing out the vault. Another powerful episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the entire planet, excluding nobody. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Inside the Vault. Also follow me on every social media platform at I am Ash Cash. Make sure you tap in, you tune in, you subscribe, you like, you tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll see you next time inside the vault, same time, same place, in God's will. Peace.
Oh yeah. You won't ask cash, you can catch it right here in the vault.